Prologue, A Silence on the Outer Banks. Late in August 1590, English privateer-turned-explorer John White stepped ashore on Roanoke Island after an absence of nearly 3 years. Sea oats rustled in the warm Atlantic breeze, and wood-boring insects drummed faintly inside abandoned palisades. But of the 100-plus colonists he had left behind, including his wife, daughter, and infant granddaughter, Virginia Dare, there was no human sound at all. White found no bodies, no burned huts, no toppled stockade. Only a single word carved into a post and the letters Crow etched on a nearby tree. The firing of muskets, the bellow of ship horns, even evening bonfires failed to draw an answering signal. Roanoke Colony had vanished. For more than 4 centuries, historians, archaeologists, and folklore enthusiasts have tried to explain what befell England's first attempt at permanent settlement in the New World. Were they murdered by hostile tribes, absorbed into friendly ones, carried off by Spanish raiders? Or did they starve and scatter, leaving behind only cryptic carvings for a father and governor who never saw them again? This article, approximately 20,000 characters of narrative, revisits the saga from Elizabethan court politics to modern DNA projects, tracing each clue and contradiction in the ongoing hunt for America's first lost colony. Chapter 1. Dreams of Empire, 1584 to 1587. England under Queen Elizabeth I was eager to counter Spanish hegemony. Courtier Sir Walter Raleigh secured a patent to discover and occupy lands not already Christian. In 1584, Raleigh's scouts sighted the Carolina banks, praising them as Edenic. 2 follow-up expeditions planted a tiny garrison on Roanoke Island in 1585 under Sir Richard Grenville and Ralph Lane, a military post that soon clashed with Algonquian neighbors and returned home hungry. Yet Raleigh pressed on. A 3rd venture, envisioned as a self-sustaining City of Raleigh, sailed in spring 1587 with 115 colonists, families rather than soldiers, led by artist-turned-governor John White. The settlers arrived too late in the growing season. Supply shortages forced White to embark back to England that August for reinforcements. Chapter 2. War Delays and a Colony on Its Own, 1588 to 1590. White's timing could not have been worse. Spain's armada loomed, and every English vessel was commandeered for defense. White begged for passage. 2 half-hearted attempts were beaten back by weather and privateers. Not until March 1590 did he secure a berth on a privateering fleet bound for the Caribbean. By the time White glimpsed the sandbars of the Outer Banks on 17th of August 1590, his family and settlers had been on their own for nearly 3 full hurricane seasons. Chapter 3. The Deserted Palisade and the Single Word. White knew the agreed signal. If colonists relocated under friendly conditions, they would carve their destination. If danger compelled flight, they would add a Maltese cross. The carved CROATOAN carried no cross. White assumed they moved southward to CROATOAN Island, modern Hatteras, home to the allied Croatan people, and the charismatic chief Manteo, longtime English broker. But storms wrecked ship anchors. The crew, eager for West Indian plunder, refused further search. White returned to England in anguish, dying a decade later without closure. Chapter 4. Early Theories and Colonial Rumors, 1600 to 1700. 4.1 Spanish Raid? In the early 17th century, Spanish spies bragged of plans to root out English heretics. However, documented Spanish patrols never reported Roanoke killings. Moreover, no sign of burned houses or English corpses impressed later explorers. 4.2 Massacre by Algonquians? Chronicler William Strachey, writing 1612, claimed Chief Powhatan confessed to slaying the Roanokes near the Chesapeake because they consorted with rival tribes. Yet Strachey's hearsay conflicts with Powhatan's ambiguous statements to Captain John Smith, and again, no trace of violent aftermath was found at Roanoke. 4.3 Assimilation. John Smith heard of men with beards living inland. Jamestown searches 1607-09 found no unambiguous Europeans, but did report gray-eyed children among friendly villages. Such rumors seeded the enduring assimilation hypothesis. The colonists intermarried with the Croatan or other tribes, adopting Algonquian lifeways. Chapter 5. Archaeology. Joins the hunt 1800 to 2000. 5.1 19th century relics. Amateur diggers collected Elizabethan-era gun locks, copper aglets, and glass beads on Hatteras Island, trade items that might stem from Roanoke. Skeptics countered that 17th century coastal trade could explain them. 5.2. The Zuniga Map. Clue. In 1998, scholars re-examined a 1608 map annotated by intelligence informant Pedro de Zuniga. A scribble marked 4 men clothed that came from Roanoke. The reference suggests survivors near the lower Chowan River among the Eno or Roanoke tribes. 5.3. The Dare Stones debunked. Between 1937 and 1941, inscribed stones surfaced across North Carolina purporting to chronicle Eleanor Dare's trek and massacre survival. Most were exposed as hoaxes, leaving only debate around one slab of uncertain provenance. 6.16. Bertie County. In 2012, the British Museum scanned John White's original coastal map, revealing a concealed fort icon 50 miles inland at the confluence of the Roanoke and Chowan rivers. Excavations dubbed Site X uncovered pottery identical in design to Roanoke finds. Evidence remains sparse, fragments, not a village, yet enticing. 6.2. CROATOAN Revisited. Archaeologist Mark Horton's decade-long dig on Hatteras produced wrought iron rapier hilts, a 16th century writing slate, and a lead pencil. The kinds of personal effects families carry, not just trade trinkets. The quantities, mixed with native artifacts and domestic layers, bolster assimilation claims. Still, skeptics note absence of European burials or architecture. 6.3. DNA sleuthing projects like the Lost Colony Genealogy and DNA Research Group test modern tribe members and local families for European haplogroups uncommon among Native Americans. Results so far hint at admixture, but are inconclusive due to centuries of intermarriage and population displacement. Chapter 7. Interpreting the Evidence. Logistics favor migration. The 1587 settlers arrived with meager supplies. Moving to CROATOAN, where allies in fish-rich inlets offered sustenance, was rational. No mass violence layer. Neither Roanoke nor Hatteras has yielded mass graves or burned strata dated to 1587-90. Artifacts suggest family life among Croatans. Sewing needles, slate writing tablet pieces, and food storage jars found under native longhouse post holes imply English household activity integrated into indigenous compounds. Site text points to split dispersion. The hidden fort symbol may mean a faction pushed upriver, reflecting internal division, some to CROATOAN, some inland seeking fertile fields. Chapter 8. Cultural Legacy. From mystery to myth, Roanoke permeates American imagination, a 1937 outdoor drama. The Lost Colony runs yearly on the island. CROATOAN surfaces in Stephen King works, An American Horror Story. Conspiracy theories invoke witchcraft, cannibalism, even alien abduction. Yet for descendant tribes, the Lumbee, the Hatteras, the Meherrin, the tale is less ghost story than ancestral memory of cultural fusion erased by later colonial narratives. Conclusion. A vanishing meant for remembering, absolute proof remains elusive, but a growing consensus envisions a pragmatic relocation and assimilation rather than massacre or starvation. Roanoke settlers likely chose life over loyalty, shedding English identity to survive, leaving behind a carved word as breadcrumb. The unsolved element endures because archives are silent and soil speaks in fragments. The Outer Banks wind still rattles the sandgrass, and on quiet nights, the Albemarle Sound laps against Roanoke's shore. Somewhere in that water and woodland, the bones of Virginia Dare's generation nourish the earth, bones bearing stories we may never fully decode, reminding us that the first chapter of English America ended not with a bang but with a mysterious whisper. CROATOAN.